Welcome to Super Happy Dragon Lucky. The show will begin momentarily.
On social media platforms today, quality content often goes unnoticed. On Den, users get paid for the creation, evaluation, and curation of quality content. Content creators are rewarded based upon the engagement and reach of their post or comment. Content evaluators are rewarded based upon the speed and results of their predictions about which content will trend or go viral. Community owners are rewarded based on engagement within their community. On Den, quality content pays.
All right, welcome to Super Happy Dragon Lucky, episode 0x58. It's the 89th episode. We're coming up there. So put your questions in the chat right now for any of the guests in case we have time to do an AMA. No promises there, but if we get a good question or two, we will ask them. Let's see here. So first thing for updates, number go up this week, sponsored by Funface. That thing loves number go up. Dragon Net nodes. So 20 to 11, continue to go up. It's a very good thing. And there are a lot of L2s, obviously, but, work your way up there. There are a lot of transactions going through these days, and sometimes you get some big ones, so it's pretty good. Next, the April 2021 LCP commitment phase is now underway. So we went through a week of proposals, and we pulled over all of the old proposals. So if you already had a proposal in there, it should be pulled over. It should be available. We will, in a week, end the commitment phase or lore voting or whatever you want to call it. But the top 5 layers by vote count will be created the following week, and the top 5 by unique voter count. And if you look this week, we actually this month we actually have the unique voter count in there, so we won't have to update you manually on the outside. Basically, though, you need to look through here and see if where the ranking is on the layer that you want to be created, and go and try to get some consensus for people even to throw in one lore each, just so it can be created. Last month we had, with this same model, we had 6 created because I think the Cars layer had enough unique voters to be created, and it was different than the other. It was the one that didn't have enough lore. So you think about it, and everything in Den is run by algorithms. So if you know the algorithms, you can kind of work your way in to the best results. In this case, being that if you can get more people involved with less lore, you can have a bigger stake in that layer, and in the end have some better value in governance or however else you want to use it in that community. So it's pretty good stuff. The utility of lots. So every lore that goes into one of these layers will be locked in the lot contract, and those lot have particular utility. Simple things like free edits inside that layer. That as time goes on, now every edit is stored in history, so anybody can see it. But it's a very interesting thing, and it has, in some cases, been particularly valuable to have free edits when there's a mistake and it's been a little bit of time, or if there have been multiple edits already on some update post. The other thing is passive income, that as the community develops, and that's the whole point of it, is that you have a responsibility as a lot holder to help maintain that community independently on your own, however you see fit. And along with all the other lot holders. And that pushes us into, what is coming is future governance. And you can see some of how that works in the official DIN governance layer, where lot holders are able to help us decide which algorithms to implement, which changes to make, which little adjustments to the system are needed. That will also be running in every single layer, and there'll be an interface for it. It will be a normie friendly, you won't need to necessarily have MetaMask integration and everything else to participate. So it's good stuff. And the last update, we have a current governance vote going on. And this is one of a series of 2 adjustments that are coming, if this passes, that is. The other has already passed, to counter some various forms of attack that that people have been using inside of the system to to benefit, right? So, and that's the whole point of it. And we think that we found a couple of different algorithms that will really help things out, and this is one of them. It has a very interesting effect. If you go in there, ask questions, whatever, it's pretty detailed, but it's good stuff. Okay, so that's all the updates. We'll be right back with our guests after.
But why, some say, the moon? Why choose this as our goal? And they may well ask, why climb the highest mountain? Why, 35 years ago, fly the Atlantic? We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other thing. Not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win. We choose to go to the moon.
All right, everybody, welcome. So I'm going to call it, because we were expecting everything to be in a top down. We realized it's in grid, so I'll tell you who to answer or whatever, if it makes sense, so that you aren't all talking over each other. So let's everybody do introductions. It's probably the best way to do it. So Lynn, let's start with you. Quick intro.
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Lynn Benway, and my background is primarily in data management. I've been playing in the space since the 80s. Whether that data is used to route calls to specific individuals, whether that data is used to work within a CRM system. But that's my background. We've used it for years in the financial insurance marketplace to target and segment the customers, prospects, and databases. So that's where I play, and I enjoy, at this point in my career, securing that data. That data is the holy grail of any organization or institution. And I think that's very important that all of us take a look at that and try to do our best to make sure that it's secured for the future.
Very good. Very good. All right, thanks. Dr. Al.
Hi, everybody. I'm Al Carlson. I've been working with computers since 1976. I pulled my first hack in 76. I'm a gray hat type of guy, but my specialty is in set theory and how it's applied to protecting data and encryption. And I do a lot of work with polymorphic encryption and polymorphic random number generators. I've been working on that hard for many years. I've taught at universities, and I've got a few patents in the area, and my work is in helping secure data, just like Lynn does.
Excellent. Very good. Very good. All right, Amy. Unmuted.
Hi, everyone. My name is Amy Berliner. I'm the founder and CEO of Aegis Biotechnologies, and we're a bioinformatic, biobehavioral data research organization, and we're poised to hold the largest amount of integrative health data by 2023, leveraging our first proprietary mHealth telehealth, preclinical data repository, exchange, and marketplace. So really excited of how we're going to revolutionize healthcare from a unique entry point, and really kind of mitigating a lot of pain points that are so relevant in a legacy system within healthcare. And so really looking to change that ecosystem and really take people forward with science, technology, research, education, and monetization through the blockchain.
Very, very good. Okay, Steve. Muted. You're muted, sorry. Is it muted over here? Yeah, we can't.
Oh, there we go. Sorry about that.
Sorry, no worries. I thought it might have been.
Hi, everyone. My name is Steve Bennett. Sorry, I don't have my last name on the screen there. It's Bennett. My background is in business and technology consulting, management, and innovation, design thinking. I have a day job as a management analyst for the Federal Reserve, and I'm also the founder and CEO of Findera. And my projects are oriented today around civic tech and social good. And so I'm really excited about the opportunity and possibility to use blockchain for some of these purposes. So I'm all about the art of the possible, deconstructing complex problems from a business standpoint and helping to put them back together in a harmonious way.
Excellent. Phil.
Hey. Hi, everyone. My name's Phil Abraham, and I've been working for many years in the supply chain, and then I kind of segued into cataloging the thousands of disparate systems out there so that I can disrupt technology, move bad technology out of the way, and bring good technology in. I'm also heavily involved in complexity science, which is the ability to predict with north of 90% accuracy 6 to 12 months before an event happens. And then I'm very excited about the Dragonchain opportunity and driving Dragonchain all around the world, attached with Dr. Al's quantum safe cybersecurity, making us the only quantum safe blockchain.
Excellent, excellent. So that's great intros, everybody. Thanks for coming on the show. And first question. So we'll go in order also. Biggest accomplishment of your career, right? So Lynn, biggest accomplishment. Muted. Sorry. It is good, by the way, everybody's muting, because it's I'm always afraid of
always afraid of background.
Yeah.
My greatest accomplishment. I would have to say it was working for a Fortune 50 company. I was consulting for them, and we were able to basically transition all of their analog over to VoIP applications in an omni-channel solution. That was huge, and there was probably 140 contact centers involved in that. A lot of people, a lot of meetings, and it took several years to do that. But I would say that was the greatest accomplishment, just to move them into the future for everybody else.
Excellent. Dr. Al.
Actually, I think the greatest accomplishment in my career is the introduction of polymorphic encryptions and random number generators. Did a lot of work in that, and now it's becoming accepted. I have students at different universities who are building off that and proving that the mathematics are quite sound.
Nice. That's very good. Very good. Amy.
You know, I think that's a relative question, right? Because there's a lot of variables in that question, right? But for me, I think it came when I least expected it. It wasn't, I mean, I've been a C-suite executive for 2 decades. And I think it really came when I left and got cancer and really decided to translate my frustration into innovation. And I think sometimes there's a great quote. It says, everything is impossible until it's done. And I think my greatest accomplishment is where I'm at right now, is developing something that's so revolutionary that's going to change what we do in the future and how we interoperate in a progressive way, and really keep people paced to that. I think outside of everything I've done, and I've done a lot of different things and worked in a lot of different spaces, healthcare, government, different capacities in business. And I will tell you, I think it came out of my own pain point to being able to translate that into something that's meaningful that I can then leverage in a really large global scale. I think right now where I'm at is my greatest accomplishment. And being surrounded by amazing people like I have on here, I'm so humbled and honored by that. So it's a team effort, right?
Exactly. That's everything ends up being that, right? That's very true. Okay. Steve.
All right. I agree, Amy. Thank you for saying that too. I appreciate that. Being with the folks that are on this call is a very humbling and excellent experience. Joe, good question. I have a few things that come to mind that would be fun to talk about, kind of techie stuff along the way that were pretty good stories. But I think my accomplishment that I'm most fond of, and I hope is the most enduring, I think, in a way, was what started out as a volunteer role to advocate for pedestrian and bicycle trails in our community turned into a 6-year run and eventually leadership roles on that park system. I thought it was going to be easier. It was not easy, but we got it done. We got a master trails plan done, delivered, implemented, codified, and the multiple disciplinary learning and exposure that I think I picked up there with learning how to work with the public, urban planners, budgets, public funding, Department of Transportation. It goes on. But today, there's just awesome stories that happen on those trails every single day. And so, I think of the technology and tools and capabilities that we build similarly. We're going to build new ways for the public to benefit every single day. And many times they may not even know that people did this work. So.
Right. Very good. I can't even imagine all of those roles involved in that.
I'm not sure I'd do it again.
Yeah. Sounds familiar though, right? So, Phil, what do you think?
I think many accomplishments, but one that I'm fond of is is figuring out a way to disrupt the 7 layers of the OSI stack for good purposes. For example, at Loma Linda University Medical Center, we drove up to 80% of the cost out, which there's no hospital in the country that can even drive 1% out. And we found a way to improve patient outcomes without touching doctor, nurse, patient. And I'm very fond of that because there's actually no hospitals in the country that can improve patient outcomes when you dig into the facts and the numbers. But we did it at Loma Linda, and it's documented, and we found a way to improve outcomes, drive cost out, improve things overall by re-engineering how software interacts within the 7 layers of the OSI stack. Very proud of that.
That's great. Yeah, very good. Wow. Yeah, because that's very complex stuff, right? Okay. So the next question, that was kind of leading into this. So it is basically, with your backgrounds individually, that, what do you bring to the table? How does blockchain, Dragonchain, or related tech, identity tech, any of the rest, fit into your current initiatives, or what you're looking to do? What are you looking to build? Things like that. Lynn.
Yes. In my current role, as with my company Emergies, I'm a channel partner manager. So what I've done is brought together distributors and resellers across some new emerging technologies. And so what I like to do is introduce it to them and have them take it to the marketplace. And in doing so, I found some very interesting technologies, and blockchain was one of those. And it was simply out of the request of the customers. Customers are starting to say, well, we have to secure it. We have to use blockchain as part of that security solution. There might be other components to it, but I think that it complements our whole suite of offerings at this point, and that's why we're excited to be partnering with Dragonchain.
Excellent. Dr. Al.
I'm glad I didn't have to go first. Because honestly, the company that I work for, Camcode Labs, works in designing ways to add security into systems for things like smart contracts and to keep the data safe in blockchain. Blockchain is an inherently open and public system, but some of that information needs to be kept secret, and there's so many ways to break it that the stuff that I'm working on here is meant to keep information safe for centuries, so that even in the post-quantum environment, we're keeping all your data safe. And so I'm as opposed to many of the other people who are on this call, who are there for very good reasons, my job is to keep their data safe.
Great. Yeah, and that's it was a very, I will tell you, it was a very interesting mesh of tech when you guys came in and we realized wow, everything fit together, and the way that you protect the data was a very good augmented piece for our platform. So amazing stuff. Okay, Amy.
I think there's so many different reasons why Dragonchain and Aegis, which is Greek, shield in Greek. And I think it's really important that, I'm very intentional in everything that I do. I was approached by, IBM Watson and others to partner. And I have to say that security was at the forefront of everything that I was working to build with my dev team. And that security and being anticipating of quantum computing, on the heels of Dragonchain and or on the blockchain, right? And being able to kind of anticipate and plan and forecast how do we mitigate some of those security issues going forward, right? And meeting you was one of those revolutionary moments because to be able to tout, 5-time quantum resistance to, what is out there is fundamental when you're building Rome. And from the approach that we're taking, it's really important that we build that at the foundational level. I don't want to have to go back and rebuild and anticipate. I think, technology is no different than science. And I always say that, the more that we look forward, the more that we can really kind of plan and pave this unpaved road. And so I think the way that Dragonchain fits in with that is so seamless because we both approach things in a very multidisciplinary role and place, but also we're monetizing, right? We're incentivizing that collective participation, which is so important in healthcare. It's so important in community. And, in healthcare, we see that huge disconnect. So being able to approach it from a security standpoint, a more patient consumer user standpoint centric in my intentionality, I think that it was just seamless for us to integrate with Dragonchain and leverage the talent and the skill set that surrounds it and be a cross complement with what we bring to the table as well.
Right. I remember when Trey first brought me onto a call with you that it was really interesting to me because you were wanting to build or were building a lot of the things that I've been trying to say we can use this tech for that. Right. And,
right.
Not being in that industry, that I would talk about it at meetups. I would talk about it to everybody, but it was one of those things. And, that the application of the technology, that's the most important thing to us. So it's great.
And I think the whole purpose of what is important about blockchain is that we're no longer siloing integral and important data, right? We're looking to ways to vehicle and conduit that. And, society's been after that for a very long time. And I always tell people it's exactly the reason why blockchain and crypto are where they are in the world. They're not this hypothesis on the wall. They're a reality, right? We're not talking about something that's futuristic. We're talking about live time. So, those in the legacy viewpoints really have to be able to pace where we are, because we're pacing where global consumerism is. And the more that we meet those pain points, the more that we stay with that integrative data that we continue to need to build more and more onto what we're building together. So, I think everything that we do here is really meaningful and, most importantly, intentional.
Yes,
That's the key.
very good.
Right?
Very good. Very good. Okay, Steve. Mute again.
Unmute.
Yes.
All right. Okay, good question. So I feel really lucky to be born when I was born. It's a good time to be here with these people and this technology. If you kind of mapped me in a Venn diagram, one way you might think of that as engaged citizen, artist, and analyst. And so where that converges, I get really excited about how we can do things where we live and in our places. And these skills and mental models and frameworks that I learned in the finance and the business world can apply. And so I've kind of been on this track of Gartner has a name for it. They call it bimodal, but it's the tools to kind of make tools. SharePoint, Tableau, these types of tools, power user sorts of tools. So maybe 15 or 20 years ago, I might have been considered a power user in a business unit in a corporation, and IT would maybe sort of hire me to keep their eye on me as a power user. But this technology has evolved, and so I get excited about enabling and putting together tools. I think about low code, sort of peer-to-peer here. So I know that we're not strictly talking about low code in this environment, but we are talking about APIs and very open, development capabilities. The development is not your biggest concern, right? It's having clear mind with what you want to do is the number one thing. So, then I go back to the big why behind all of this. I really don't care for politics very much, but I love policy and I love to think about policy. Why we do what we do. And, there's a sense that I've gained over the years, it's just one size fits no one. So we have these monolithic approaches because that's all we've been able to do. But now we can deconstruct and see things with much higher resolution and respond appropriately. But we have to de-abstract, so to speak, and be intentional about how we reassemble these things. And the art of the possible then is just very energizing to me. So really with the blockchain specifically, it comes down to that peer-to-peer capability that eventually I envision underpinning all of this wonderful magic stuff that we're going to do. And really heavily oriented around the ID management, which then we will be grateful to Dr. Allen team for, helping us continue to make that extremely robust. So yeah, it's all really about liberty and peer-to-peer and making tools that enable people to do things. So.
Yep. Yeah. Identity hits everything, right? So. Very good. Okay, Phil, you upset our order, and I'm the worst.
Yeah, well, I got kicked off for some reason. So
actually, I can't even figure out the order because I know that it started. It seems like it was that Lynn and Al joined first, and then Amy, then Steve, then you. So I was right, but then when you pop back in, you're not. It didn't put you. It's weird. I don't get it. I would have thought it would have put you right at the end. I don't get it. Anyway, Phil. So how are you expecting to use, because you have a lot of different, especially in your background, supply chain, health. So how are you looking to integrate Dragonchain?
I'm looking at, several areas, of course. One is I want to duplicate what happened at Loma Linda and improve patient outcomes in healthcare using blockchain. And then my research showed and has shown for years although the general community didn't accept this, that hackers are coming in through the supply chain. They used to say it's a disgruntled employee, but my research showed the supply chain. So I want to be able to significantly reduce hacking in the supply chain by migrating everyone over to Dragonchain. And then another example of that is last week, the second largest Catholic healthcare system in the country had a very serious hack. And the hacker came into Kroger's, the grocery store, played around with the supply chain, then jumped into the pharmacy department, and from there jumped into Trinity Health, the Catholic healthcare system, and caused all this supply chain related problems and took everyone's credit card numbers and social security numbers and things like that. And the last shoe to drop is I'm waiting for them to leave Trinity or go from inside Kroger's and jump into General Motors and then get into the connected car, causing additional problems for everyone else. So my goal is to drag all that mess over to Dragonchain so we can end it and move forward.
Nice. Very good. Okay, so I'm going to ask if do we have any questions that we want to ask everybody? So we're running pretty good on time. We're only 30 minutes. So, okay. Tenacious Dragon. So, and you don't have to all answer if you don't have an opinion on this. I think that's probably the best way to do this. What are your thoughts on the current blockchain regulatory environment in America? Who wants to take that question? And if nobody, I will if nobody else does. Nobody. And go ahead, Steve. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say simply that I encourage everyone within the sound of this broadcast to engage and understand there's public comment periods and to be involved in the process. That's my simple comment.
I agree. I think a lot of times people don't, because they either don't have time usually to really get into understand what the process is, unless you're in, like, say, in the industry, and then you tend to be a financial person, and then it's a weird intersection of the tech and financial. So basically, if you're interested in the technology, then you should take part in that, even if it's a little bit out of comfort zone. And because there are a lot of cases that are going on right now that are not necessarily going the right direction. We'll see, but in the end, my opinion, it's free speech. It's software. It's software in the end. I mean, I know there are financial aspects to the software, but it's still software, right? So, I mean, eBay had financial aspects to it, right? So, there are various things that can really be improved if we can get this technology in a little more into a free environment, so that we can continue to evolve, right? Because there's a lot left to be done on how the tech is used. Yes, Amy.
I think too, when we take old ideas and try to conjoin them with something that's new and innovative, we're already set up to fail, right? Because at a very, I mean, I deal with some people in DC and at the White House, policy advisors and different people. And I can tell you that as much as they want to participate in the conversation, unfortunately, the bureaucracy is where we get locked up. And if we adopt these same similar ideologies into progressive technologies, it's where we're set to fail. And it's the exact reason why we're seeing migration away from these traditional infrastructures, whether it be voting, whether it be healthcare, whether it be banking. When Elon Musk first outed with, digital platform, right, and currency, we saw the huge participation in that, just going, hey, we want to test something else that's new and revolutionary. Here's something that's of interest, right? And so it's interesting because we're really at a crossroads politically and in the tech space is where we're saying, hey, we see the innovation and technology with blockchain and crypto, and yet behind the scenes, we're really not promoting that to where people can start to adopt that idea as knowing that that's going to be something that's future versus just something that's, maybe a trend, maybe a niche for the moment. And we all can certainly attest to the fact that this is the future. I mean, this is how we're going to interoperate successfully. It's how we're going to give voices back to a voter. future, and how we're going to be able to transparently identify data, but also mitigating the cybersecurities that we all are so very much aware of happening. I mean, there is not one, to Phil's point, there is not one industry that has not been compromised. And yet we regurgitate the same exact damn problem every year, whether it be healthcare or government or otherwise, and we do nothing. And we go, well, you know what, we'll look at upgrading. Well, upgrading isn't it. We have to change course. And that's what I think we're all doing here, is really disrupting that whole ideology and saying, listen, we're paving a new path and a new roadway for people to walk upon that isn't old and isn't out of touch and so dinosaur, as I like to call it.
Very, very true. And we're dealing right now with regulations that are approaching 100 years old, right? And we're trying to apply them to software. And, you know, I understand some ways, but it has cost us a lot of money and time. So, you know, I can imagine other projects similar and full industry. Yeah, Steve?
Just a real quick point on that. I appreciate that, Amy, and I just say yes, and that's kind of where I was coming from, is we should not assume that regulators understand the implications of what they're dealing with. And you know, if not us, who? So I just encourage us to be that voice and advocate. And in some cases, the 100-year-old principles behind the policy may work. In other cases, it may not. But if the people trying to sort this out don't know the difference, then it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and I want to bring this in too, because so Jeffrey Connolly from LinkedIn says, took a very long time to develop the internet. The first network in the early 60s didn't get peer-to-peer tech until the late 90s, right? Blockchain is in its infancy, and I've always brought up the fact that it's an odd situation where if you look at and I have a theory, right? But if you look at the development of the internet and how regulators handled it, they very much did hands off. Let's let it develop. Let's see what it does. And you compare that, contrast that to what's happened since 2016, 2017, 2018 with blockchain. It's been a very, every single agency wants to regulate blockchain, right? And I don't know this because I was pretty young early internet, but I was there. I was an adult, right? That it seems to me anyway that it was because the internet was very well focused on engineering. Mostly it was engineers. There was telecommunications involved, which were all engineers, and blockchain has a lot of financial, and so they're more used to regulatory control. They're more used to, we have to do these various things. And I think that key, and there's a lot more direct influence of money involved, which you take that however you want, but direct influence of money has scared a lot of people, I think unnecessarily, and it's scared a lot of industries unnecessarily, that rather than regulating, rather than going crony, it's much better to jump on it and profit. I mean, the amount of profit that could have been made by those same people that were against the technology and are going to lose in the end. And I say that's the political angle on it. Most of this won't matter because the technology itself is how do I say this? Programmed. It is inherent that it drives adoption, and that's why Dragonchain is here. That we wanted to apply that adoption programming to enterprise. How can we actually use this in a good way, in a proper way, both for consumer and for business, right? So there are a bunch of really neat things there. Yeah, I don't know. So let's see here, Blake. Do you have any other good questions? Okay, Lothar. Do you have an estimate of when the digital fortress will be live with a customer, publicly announced or not? I can't predict these things. We will have it available very soon. We have the backend integrated. And this is mostly talking about the Dr. Al's quantum proof, quantum safe tech applied architecturally, and I would say at a core level applied to blockchain. That we're using his tech to really, get that the last mile of what we were doing architecturally, where the things that we had to bring up. Well, in certain cases, if you have a military application or something that's extremely sensitive, security is the requirements are very high, that we'd always said, well, architecturally we can handle it, right? And that's how we do things. That we say, okay, if you brought in this question, which we can anticipate this thing will happen, that we test that against the architecture. How would that fit? How would that work? Where are the flex points? Where can you plug things in and still give flexibility for the actual application? And so that was a big test. So we brought in something that was particularly interesting and unique with Dr. Al's algorithms, and we plugged it in. I would say architecturally that it's at the core level, both in the storage of the transactions, which we already say you control those, right? But this makes that control safe, and with the actual decentralization component, that same tech is plugged into the verification proofs all the way up the multiple chains. So if you know about Dragonchain architecture. So anyway, that's my answer. I don't know if maybe Phil knows any more. I mean, we're talking to a lot of different people, a lot of different organizations. I don't know if we have timelines or if we can announce timelines or any of them.
No, I don't. Of course, check back with me on all the Telegram and Twitter sites, but I don't want to touch on the timelines. I do want to say that the polymorphic random number generator that Dr. Al created is absolutely driving a lot of attention for Dragonchain. So it's a new thing, not for Dr. Al, but it's a new thing for the regular general masses of business people. But as I listen very carefully on these different calls we're on, it's becoming number one on everybody's list of things to get implemented. Even though they don't totally understand polymorphic random number generators, they do understand that getting hacked all day is not fun. So,
yeah.
The pipeline is stuffed right now, and the quantum is right in front of and inside that whole pipeline. So we're right there.
Very good, very good. Okay. Any other Blake? Any other good questions? Okay. Joe's great achievements. Yeah. That's for another time, right? I'm the worst interviewer in the world, so to interview myself, I don't want to bore everybody on who's on the call, right? We have all these people on. Anyway, another time. Let's see here. And otherwise, it's Dragonchain is a short answer. So there you go. Is that everything? Is that good? Let's go ahead and cut off. It's 42 minutes. It's a rare gem that we get a show under an hour. So I really appreciate it, especially with this many people. It's great. So can we go through, and I'm going to go through this new ordering, Phil. But one way or another, if you can give us, where to follow you, what you're doing, where to watch for anything, or take part if that's an option. Lynn.
Sure. You can follow me on LinkedIn as well, emergies.llc online, and I'm updating with all the solutions that we're offering, and please reach out. I'm happy to have a discussion.
Excellent. Dr. Al.
Well, I can be reached on LinkedIn. That's one of the big areas. I mean, we're doing a lot of lab work. Much of my work is being done at the university level with, for instance, the University of Louisiana at Lafayette and the University of Idaho. Universities that they're willing to think a little bit outside the box and do new things. I can be reached. If you reach out to me through LinkedIn, I'm always happy to work research projects with people, and I've got a ton of them to do really strange things.
That's awesome. Okay, Phil.
I'm pretty easy to get to. I'm all over LinkedIn and Twitter and the Dragonchain Telegram locations. So, and I try my best to get back right away to everyone.
Very good. Perfect. Amy.
Same too. You can find me on LinkedIn. Probably the best place to find me, Amy Berliner or Aegis Biotechnologies. And website is Aegis Biotech and streamhealth.com. So that's the best way to connect with me and follow what I'm doing and stay connected.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay. And Steve.
LinkedIn is probably the best way right now. Please do connect and express your interest. We'll be putting out some communication here in short order.
Perfect. Okay. So that's everything. Thanks everybody for joining. This was really good set of guests and conversations. So please please subscribe wherever you're watching right now. We're on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Periscope, Twitter. So do what you can to spread info, and we appreciate what everyone's doing out there, by the way, trying to get the word out on the tech. And join us again next week, next Tuesday. We'll see you then. Thank you.